Alright, I have returned. This is really sad honestly. KRR1751 has been secretly watching my videos I think, so here's some updates. First of all, he posted a list of Microsoft IP addresses to block. But I doubt that this would work anyway, because it is using Windows Firewall, and there are no IPv6 addresses there. Next, he talks about a secret NT file system, which is a really bad idea for a kernel design, because all of your kernel tools should already be able to support the NT internal API. This is such a bad hack, why would Microsoft even do this? NT is one of the worst kernels anyway, it is extremely unportable, it has a bunch of features no longer used by Windows anymore, etc. NT only runs on x86 and ARM. Also note that making programs for Windows/NT is very difficult compared to any other OS, because MSVC is a non-standard compiler and Windows.H is not good. Then after somebody called KRR, Minecraft profile picture BTW, he threw his computer out his windows, in Minecraft, sadly. One funny thing KRR posted is that the shutdown app doesn't want to shut down because the shutdown app is running. Whatever happened to forcing shutdown like you said?
Just doesn't get why Windows doesn't make the command line more Unix friendly because Windows is not a Unix system. It has its own kernel that has its own API calls, and to understand it, you need first to know that the kernel will be loaded after WinLoad.
This is not really true if you are using BIOS,
which will prove in some basic drivers and instructions.
If you are on UEFI, most of the setup will be done for you. WinLoad is not even the first step, bootmgr comes before it. This usually sets up protected mode, and the GDT, IT and TSS.
Like this video will tell the kernel it should load of your driver instead, but if it is on the file you can edit the file as you like. The only problem though is that some of the parts are encrypted to prevent reverse engineering or
obfuscation is not encryption.
But you still get a lot when you use something like UEFI shell, and if you install something called figuard, it will run on top of the WinLoad. FI will catch the API calls that will send to the tasker and bypass forex. See driver signature environment and kernel patch protection, so not really then you can mess up with the kernel more.
This is just interception.
But you can also make your add-ons on top of it. Forex, then assigning your custom drivers, something like NOM or a bug check which will disable the bottom event happening, or you can hack your graphics driver or make your own by using frame buffers or disabling the switches that makes literally the guy possible. Make your own entire distro out of it without using the crappy Unix environment.
Sure you can do this, but it would be extremely painful to write tons of code for the native NT API.
And that makes Windows. I like it for its unique structure and all the work behind with the history around it. Not anything must be just Linux, but people that prefer anything else can go to different environments, and like in your case,
I am working on my own kernel, by the way, and I know that NT is badly designed.
Then you can try learn the things around first, because it is a different environment to even understand first how Windows works. Learning more C and Win32 episode go to Linux where the Unix is everywhere. Something like that eventually in Windows is also really great.
I know this isn't true because no programs even run on it. You don't run it in real hardware either, do you?
And if I know it is possible, I stay.
Well, good luck with that. On to the next essay long KRR post.
Okay, you seem to be a guy falling into the Linux propaganda too much. Time to discuss one. You don't need to just use Linux to get the most performance out of your hardware. Windows and Mac on Mac, I am not sure that using can be still downloaded to the bare minimum. You can play with around, discovering new things. The same with Linux.
Except that GNU/Linux is usable.
But if you want the latest kernel you may not hear about. Cell 4 microkernel. Cell 4 is even lighter than Linux. Can do a lot of stuff. How simple it is. Even from their website are saying they're the world's fastest, smallest kernel out there, and the good point of it is that it can be anything. You can code your own file system, make your own libraries, and even somewhat forex. make the two beyond this row on let's see, that exalt library that it is like wide goals that is shell and it is super cool, you can build your own guy, anything, probably better than Linux, as it is also open source.
Cope and Scene, Herd and GNU Mark are much better than the Linux kernel. CL4 is a joke project, which nobody uses, because GNU Mark is still better, and GNU Herd has all of the features you've listed, and extras.
2. As wide goals has done upload is also true, but that doesn't mean it cannot be removed. Anything is possible if you know how. If you don't and you don't like it, don't use it. 3. With the security, Linux will be always the target first.
Was Linux kernel ever secure? Monolithic kernels were a mistake. Note that GNU Herd is plenty more secure due to drivers running in user space.
Not just because it is widely used in a lot of servers across the internet, but because it is directly open source and hackers can have the free will to explore the kernel, find vulnerabilities and exploit the system more than wide goals.
And in Windows, NSA's backdoors remain undiscovered for decades on end.
On wide goals, when you disable updates upgrades, you are more safe than on Linux, because nobody will then understand the principle how wide goals is built.
So you admit it?
Even source code leak hard wide goals a lot, but not that hard, as it is really decade old and all of the legacy not really old, but a lot of them are just gone already.
What happened to backwards compatibility?
As most of the viruses you get on wide goals is by downloading random files from the internet. If you don't do that or are you careful, then this doesn't even apply to you.
Same with GNU/Linux.
4. Even if wide goals is the open source, you can still do a lot of stuff, and I mean a lot of that. Hacking wide goals drivers to get access to a frame buffer, trigger the system to do something else, and because it is running on top of UEFI, it can be even modded. You simply add your custom code from the UEFI if you disable secure boot and have also a total freedom by your choice.
Even though this applies to all kernels.
5. You don't need a product either nowadays. It is mainly targeted to business, but Microsoft doesn't care already if you have a pirated wide goals or not, as if you will not upload it, they will make money anyways out of the bloat. There it is. But they give you the freedom now to do anything you want. They only make a simulation across you that you will stay there and see only that, what they want to see. But you can also go behind, not just looking and staring at the same position, and you'll see another pattern you can follow and explore.
Schizo.
You can use it unactivated and still customize it for X. It is just a rep. 6. With the jumping of distribution there it is the same. Until I24H2, jump to 23H2 or go to Lotus or make your own, and you'll be the first in the planet to ever make it possible.
I wonder why.
And it is possible to make your own wide goals distro if you know how, as it requires a lot of knowledge of zero-level programming that I simply don't have.
So you admit it? This is the second time which you say that the NT kernel is very difficult to program for.
Or just use make wide goals 7 with Xgix extended kernel, or you can do whatever you want in the wide goals era. 7. To be installing that part that you don't have to reinstall Linux, it is great. On wide goals particularly you can as well, but not always. But then what is then the point to even choose a distro if it is by you just a shell? You can also on wide goals replace Explorer with something different like Explorer 7, Winx Shell, Redis Explorer, Area Shell, TabWorks, Program Manager from 3.1.
The only one which doesn't suck.
Or my main shell that are also open source. Change your look and feel to something new. Take this like a playground. Both Linux, wide goals, make us or like your pinhole. When you buy up, it is already prepared what type of sand you will use when on wide goals for X. Is white sand and Linux black sand. That white sand is more stable for making castles and art, anything you want. But it came from a company nobody knows how it is made of, but it works. Linux again, anybody knows how it is built. It can mess just.
Finally something smart from KRR.
But it is not really stable.
Never mind.
Sometimes it doesn't quite fill the gap, or if it will, it requires different structure how it should be made unlike wide goals. As from now, I learned wide goals architecture my entire life. I know exactly what to do to build that and this to make it work. And as nobody still doesn't know how it is built, you can still take some of the sand and make an Elvis by your own. You can make tests, experiments, and build a better structure from those mistakes or discoveries you made.
Why not write your own kernel, KRR?
Same with Linux, but now when I'll go to Linux, it is like moving the white sand totally away and replacing it with the black sand. I don't have absolutely zero idea how to build something out of it.
Git good.
I may be focused more on that, learning it, but it will still not be the same as I did that with my previous white sand. Here I need to do totally different things to make it work, and I don't like that. Once the white sand is still the same like from 1993 and the architecture also stays the same.
Microsoft themselves admits backwards compatibility is a huge mistake.
Nobody knows how, well not exactly, as I am not the one who did the experiments already. I'll also stay and involve on that to make even more beautiful structure and my home. You like black sand, I like white sand. We are two different species, as someone who knows how to architect with the white sand will not know how to operate with black sand, and the same thing is reversed. But both are the same. It is still a freaking sand, and our is a freaking playground, and it is up to you what you decide to be like. It is still 0 and 1. Hope you understand now. If you want to debug me, I am ready.
Already did. Anyway, that's all for now. I'm pretty sure I have to make another video soon, but hopefully not soon.